I'm the music teacher listening to Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga live, so join me as we discover hidden connections, understand how music works, and have some fun along the way. We're gonna get started with A New Adventure Begins. Let's do this thing. Wow, what a delightfully playful way to start off this OST. Now, little piece of lore here. This is actually one of my most played games ever. However, I do not recognize the OST. You might be saying, well, how on earth is that? Well, I grew up in a house where I was allowed to have a gaming system, but playing the gaming system was not encouraged. So what I would do is I would get under the covers, pretend to be asleep in the morning and at night, and I'd have my Nintendo DS. I believe I was playing this on Cobalt Blue, and I'd sit there and I'd play because it had the backlit screen, so you could go under the covers and play. Ooh, yes, sir. Many Saturday mornings spent pretending to still be asleep and playing Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, if I recall correctly. All right, let's keep it rocking and rolling. And we'll do a little bit more analysis on these next ones. One thing to point out here is, like many of the other spin-offs that we've heard so far on the, well, to call them spin-offs, maybe not, but on the mobile versions, is that, you know, the sort of key of Mario has been C major. And we heard right here, this is starting off in B major. Now, that being said, it still feels playful. It still feels Mario-esque. And so let's keep on working. But also, it's not just Mario, it's Mario and Luigi. So let's keep going here. Okay, so this is now looping. Let's actually talk about this piece of music. It's really cool. We're also going to change over to our full iPad view here. All right, so we're in the key of F major, and it starts off with this. Let's actually do this. So it's like a 1, then we've got either, you could, well, let's actually get the actual thing here. Yeah. All right, and then it's going to be the 7 diminished of 2, which leads us to 2. Like that. 5. Yeah, so still 7 of 6. All right, and then we have 2 to 5, and then it's Mario Victory theme time. We got a flat 6 and flat 7. And that brings us back to the top. So right here, this is the Mario Victory theme. Flat 6, flat 7, bringing us back to a major 1 up here. Now, something interesting to note here is the use of like these secondary diminished chords right here. Really cool because that creates a chromatic ascent in the bass line. So for example, the bass line here for this first line is going to be F, and then we'll call it G flat to G, and each one of these is a half step apart. And if you're not sure what a half step is, you can go back and look at some of our previous Mario streams and learn a little bit more about that. Now here we have the 5 to the 7 of 6, then it goes to 6. So right here we have a C to, I'm going to call it a C sharp. And really for this I'd call it a C sharp too. I mean an F sharp. F sharp. C sharp, 2, D, and then we've got G, C, D flat, E flat, and that D flat, E flat, that's that flat 6, flat 7. Mario Victory theme. Type a 2 in the chat if the guitar is loud enough and you can hear the guitar okay. Well, nothing like a little bit of organ music to show us that something evil is happening and some machination is going on. Something's going on here. We're gonna unpack this in a second. Alright, looping now. Alright, so if I'm recalling correctly, Yoko Shimamura also did Kingdom of Hearts. Type a 2 in the chat if that is correct, and I'm recalling that correctly. I've listened to like 1 or 2 pieces from Kingdom Hearts. I have not listened to the whole OST so far. But if I recall correctly, Yoko was the composer. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because in Kingdom Hearts, in the one piece I'm thinking of, it was like 5/4, and it was like a little difficult to track what was going on initially. Like there's this flowing nature of the music. And here, if we go through this and we count how many measures each thing's getting. All right, so typically, all right, let's talk about hypermeter. Okay, so hypermeter is the term, and here, I'll put this up here. Hypermeter. So hypermeter is like it's like the culturally ingrained pattern of having music typically be in groups of 4, 8, 16, and 32. So usually sections of music, large pieces of music, they're going to be organized into groups of 4, 8, 16, 32. And that's part of the pattern. Like you bop your head along, it's been inculcated into your ears. Now, if we listen to what's going on here, I suspect, if I'm hearing everything that I'm hearing correctly, that this is not strictly following this, let's call it typical hypermeter. So let's go ahead and actually speed this up just a little bit and go through this one time. Maybe it just sounded like that at that point. Interesting. So right now it is following our groups of 4. You can hear right now it's about to change. That's a group of 4. That's what it is. All right. So what threw me for a loop there, and why was I thinking maybe the hypermeter was different? Well, let me show you. It's right in here where this figure happens. Right there. So we have So we hear those new ba-dump, ba-dums, they're starting on different beats, they're not starting on one. And because of ba-dump, ba-dums, they're not starting on the one of the 1, 2, 3, 4. That's actually creating a feeling where I'm going, where are we? Which way is up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Right? It starts like on the and of 1. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba, and then the next time we hear it, it starts on 3. So that also, that's not necessarily bucking the hypermeter, no, but it is creating syncopation. And syncopation. And what syncopation is when a rhythm starts somewhere you don't expect it to, or it breaks your expected breaks the expected pattern of rhythm. Right there, that sure enough did break the expected pattern of rhythm. Let's keep going. That is looping. All right, so for this piece of music, we're in the key of A major. And in the key of A major, by the way, if you're wondering why I tap my chin to the pencils because this pencil, you actually have to tap the top of it to turn it on. And I've got two hands busy, so sometimes I'll just do this to turn it on. All right, so, because my chin is like the closest thing to me writing, so there you go. Off, on, great. All right, so in the key of A, so we got a 1. Now, we're gonna talk about this. And then it goes to flat 7. So far we're seeing this 1 to flat 7 thing, which by the way we've seen in other Mario games, fully alive, fully present in this Superstar Saga. Now, one thing to look at here, right there. Da 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 ba ba. That right there, that is a sharp 4. Da ba ba be da ba 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 da ba ba. It's like The Simpsons. Something like that, right? So, this is kind of Simpson-y. And then what was that second note in there? No, that wasn't it. Yeah, there you go. To flat 6. So it's bringing in these notes. We're bringing in the sharp 4 and the flat 6 from outside of the key. Now, what does bringing something in from outside of the key mean? Well, if we look at the key of A major, and before we understand the key of A major, let's understand all the notes we have. We got an A, we got an A sharp or a B flat, we've got a B, we got a C, we got a C sharp or a D flat, we've got a D, we got a D sharp or an E flat, we've got an E, we got an F, we've got an F sharp or a G flat, we've got a G, and then we got a G sharp or an A flat. Now, where we have these slashes like this means it's two different ways of spelling it in the same way that you have the words two, and these all sound exactly the same. These notes sound the same, but there's two different names you can give them. All right, so all the notes in an A major scale are going to be A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and then it goes back to A. And the notes we're hearing, the sharp 4 is going to go right in here, and that's going to be a D sharp. Ooh, that's borrowed from outside of the key. And then the flat 6 is going to go right here, and that's going to be an F natural. So by bringing in these two notes from outside of the key into the melody, while the chord, by the way, just stays on the 1, creates a playful, interesting, and kind of naughty feeling. All right, let's keep it going. This is an interesting sequence of notes put together. Again, creating something that sounds a little threatening, but also playful. So we're in the key of, I'm gonna call it B flat minor, just to make this easy for us to have some place to start with. So we have 2, flat 3, 1, and then we have 7, 1, and we'll call that a, flat 6. Okay, so what do we see here? We see a motif. A motif has emerged. A wild motif appeared. So the motif we're seeing is that it's going up by a half step, and then it's going down by a whole step, and then here it's going down by a whole step plus a half step. So to understand what a whole step and half step is, between each one of these notes is a half step. And you see we put this little, looks like a shark tooth. It's called a caret. spelled C-A-R-R-E-T, not carrot like O-T, not like a carrot you eat. So it's not a carrot you eat, it's a character carré, as they say à Paris. And then we have this, half step, half step, half step, half step, half step. And they look like shark's tooths, and the way I like to remember that is it's like Jaws. That what you just heard is the interval of a half step. That was me just playing an E to an F. Okay, so what we can see here is we have a half step, and then if we have two half steps together, that's going to equal a whole step. And we're going to show it with a little swoosh. There it is. And then if we have a whole step plus a half step, we'll show that with like a little bracket like this. So what we can see here is we're descending here, excuse me, not by a whole step, but by a whole step plus a half step. And then we have, this is right here is like descending by a whole step plus a half step plus an extra half step here. And that there's a motif. So the motif is we go up by a half step, we go up by a half step, and then we go down by at least a half step plus a whole step. And the second time we go up by a half step and then down by a half step plus a whole step plus an extra half step. All right, let's keep it going. Nice. All right, so let's understand what's going on here in the melody. So we have da ba dum dum. So I'm gonna call motif A da ba dum dum, and then I'll call motif B da ba dum. And then with na ba dum bum, that's back to motif A, different notes. Then da dum da, that's motif C. All right, so we have, let's go through this one more time and type a 2, actually type M in the chat if you can hear the difference here. So that's our A, here's our B. Now it's the A rhythm is gonna repeat. Da ba dum dum da 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 da. It's 4, right? Da ba dum dum da ba da ba dum da ba dum dum da dum da. Type in M if you can see that this is the same rhythm. There's 4 things. Da ba dum dum, da ba dum dum. Listen to it again. Da ba dum dum. And then we get that melody 2 times through. It goes to a higher voice, and then we have a counter melody under it. And then we have, it's like an A. We get motif A, motif A, motif A, and then we get motif C here, which creates a 3-to-1 pattern, common pattern in melodies. All right, type a 3 in the chat if that melody explanation made sense and you're actually able to go, oh, okay, I can hear the pattern of the melody. Like maybe you could hear the pattern before in the sense like you thought it sounded cool, but now you actually understand how to break that pattern up. And once you understand how to break it up, then you use it for yourself. And you can create your own music using this same pattern. All right, let's keep it going. And well, here, let me show you how easy it is. All right, so let me take an A pattern. So an A pattern would be, that's my A. There's my B. So here's my A. A again. Change the note slightly, and here's my C. Now if we put that all together. Type in M if the chat if that was like a decent melody. Maybe not the best melody ever, but that's a decent melody in 2 seconds, just riffing off the top of my head, following this exact pattern. So if I could do that in 2 seconds, imagine what you could do in 2 minutes, or 2 hours, or 2 days, even. Not that writing a melody like this should take you 2 days, but that's the idea. All right, let's keep it going. All right, type an E in the chat if you want to understand what makes ending pieces of music oftentimes sound like ending pieces of music. Type an E in the chat. And I'll actually explain it to you right now, which is ending music. Oftentimes we hear harmonized descending bass lines. And sometimes we hear ascending ones, but harmonized descending bass lines like this. Let's do this with a clean sound here. Now, if that sounded like ending music to you, type a 5 in the chat. If that sounded like that could go for something to be ending. So what's happening here? What's happening here is we get a descending bass line. So we're taking a sequence of notes and we're just bringing them down, 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 down. And what we're doing is over those, we're playing different chords that have those descending notes inside them. There we go. Boom. That's how you can create an ending piece of music just like that. All right, let's keep it going. All right, what we can hear in this piece of music, we're in the key of E major. 1 to 4. 1 to 4. To 1. 4. 1 to 5 of 6. 6 to 5 of 5. To 5. Oh, Daydream Believer, interesting. Here I'm Sleepy Jean. Let's see if the B section has Daydream Believer in it. Hypercube 1955. Let's go check out the B section for some Daydream Believer. Homecoming queen. Yeah, close. It's got that Daydream Believer vibe to it. Shout out to Hypercube 1955 bringing us back with that Cheer Up Sleepy Jean reference from, goodness, was that the 60s? Was that the 70s? That was the Monkees, wasn't it? Daydream Believer? Anyway, let's keep it going. Amazing. Alright, what do I love about this piece of music? I love the mashup. I love me a good Mario mashup. Say Mario mashup 5 times fast. A magnificent Mario mashup. A meticulous, magnificent Mario mashup. Indeed. Okay, so we hear the da ba dum ba dum da ba dum da ba da ba dum da ba dum da ba da dum. Da ba dum da ba dum da ba da ba dum da ba dum da ba da dum, which we heard in Super Mario World. If I'm not mistaken, we might have also heard it. Oh, King Peggy in the house. Mashup of Super Mario Bros. Overworld theme and Super Mario Bros. 3 Grassland. Yes, okay, fantastic. Someone's got the names down, so thank you very much, King Peggy 4 in the chat. Yeah, Mario 3. The first time we heard it was in Mario 3. We did also hear it in Super Mario World, if I'm not mistaken. All right. Anywho, point is, we done heard these before, and they done did mash them up, and the mashup did here. It's mashed. Awesome. Loved it. Oh, this is cool. So this is like from Super Mario Land 2. Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, by the way, if I start saying wrong games, it's because I've now listened to a whole bunch of Mario games all in a row that I listened to one time. And so if I get the titles wrong, I apologize. I mean no offense. I am literally making an honest mistake just through lack of exposure to it. So, Peach's Castle. What we talked about last time, which I'd like to bring up here too, last time we looked at Peach's Castle, is the way that it's actually related to the other themes. So we have the dump, 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 dump. We have that idea from the motif A from what I'd like to call the main Mario theme. So bump, bump, bump. Bump, ba-dump, right? We hear. Similar rhythm, but different notes. And yeah, we can think about the relationship between that motif. And that truly is a rhythmic motif. Bump, bump, bump. Really cool stuff. All right, let's keep it going. So this again is creating this feeling of having a sharp 4, but this is slightly different. We're getting these ideas of having the sharp 4. So what does it mean to have something the sharp 4, and what does it mean to be in a Lydian mode? Let's talk about both these things. All right, so let's actually talk about a Lydian mode. Type a 4 in the chat if you've ever heard of something called a mode. Let's understand what it is. Okay, so what we talked about before in the stream is what it means to be in a key. So for example, if we were in the key of D flat major, we'd have a, we'd have a D flat, we'd have an E flat, we'd have an F, we'd have a G flat, I just wrote a G A, G flat, an A flat. Also, let me make this full screen. We'd have a B flat, and then we'd have a C. So what does it mean to be in a mode? Well, okay, some people will call modes scales. Some people say no, modes come from a scale. I like to think of the modes in relationship to a major scale. That way we have one thing we're comparing everything else to. So here, if we think about the order of whole and half steps between these notes, we have whole, whole, half, whole, 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 and then if we go back to D flat here, we've got half. Now, if we're going to be in the Lydian mode, we're going to change one note. We're still going to have the D flat, we're still going to have the E flat, we're still going to have the F, except now instead of a G flat, it's going to be a G. And then we get an A flat, then we get a B flat, then we get the C, and then we get the D flat. So we have whole, 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 half, whole, whole, half, if I did that right. Yes, I did that right. Come on now. Somebody tell me I did the right. Yes, I did that right. Okay. So what's happening here is actually we're using all the notes from an A flat major scale, but we're starting and ending on a D flat is another way of thinking about that. So you can either think we're taking the fourth scale degree, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're raising it up 1/2 step. 1/2 step is going to bring it up from, where's my little circle? There we go. 1/2 step is going to bring it up from G flat up to G. I'm going to go up by 1/2 step. And we're just changing one note. And then we're just using the scale like we normally would, emphasizing D. Now you might be saying, okay, well, what does it mean to emphasize? Well, when we emphasize things, I like to think about this using home tones and adventure tones. So I'm going to highlight our home tones here. And then everything else are going to be adventure tones. So home tones are going to be, and this is a simple way of thinking about it, but it's a simple way that works, especially for starting out creating music. So home tones is going to equal your 1, your 3, and your 5. And your adventure tones are going to be your 2, 4, 6, and 7. And so what happens is when a melody emphasizes the 1, the 3, and the 5, and particularly the 1, it's going to sound like it is in the key. And then for this in particular, you'll notice that the melody actually emphasizes also this G right here, this adventure tone. Why? Because if you're going to make a Lydian mode, like, let's make it sound Lydian, so let's emphasize that difference in the note. So I'm going to play this for you one time. I'll play a couple ideas from this using the Lydian mode versus not, and you'll hear the difference. Yeah, to the... So check this. Ah. Alright, so that's using the Lydian mode. I'll play it again. Now if I do it using the regular major scale, this is what it sounds like. Type an L in the chat if you can hear that this has this playfulness, this lightness to it, whereas this is not quite the same thing. Again, type in whatever I said in the chat if you can hear that those two things sound different. Let's keep it going. All right, it is looping now. So let's talk about what's going on here in terms of the scale that's being used. So we're in the key of B flat, and what we can hear, let's put a little zhuzh on it. Oh, yeah. Ah, sorry. All right, so what's going on here? We're hearing something that's totally different. Now, if we go back up here and we look at what we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we had 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we have 1, flat 2, 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. This creates something that we can call Phrygian major. Why Phrygian? Phrygian is this flat 2. Why major? Because there's a major third here, not a flat third here. Really, really cool stuff. So we have 1, flat 2. Here's the cool part. That 3, 4, 5, flat 6, 7, 1. Now, what makes that sound so cool? Well, in my opinion, number 1, the flat 2, the flat 3 creates that whole step plus a half step space there. That is number 1. And that, what I'd call that the, well, we'll leave that alone. I'm not going to label that for right now. So that space is not common in a scale with 7 notes. Typically in 7 notes, you have whole steps and half steps, and a combination of only whole steps and half steps. So when you bring in this combination of a whole step plus a half step, which equals whole step plus a half step, that space, that distance between the 2 notes creates a sound that you just don't hear in a major scale, a Lydian scale, or Lydian mode, and other modes and scales as well. All right, let's keep going. All right, it's looping now. Now, what we're hearing in the kingdom called Beanbean is we're actually hearing an idea we heard previously in another track, which is starting off with this 1, 2. Well, let me make sure I'm not speaking too soon here. Yeah, I'm gonna call it that. It's a 1 major 7. To a 4 major 7, to then we'd have like this, still 1 but different voicing. I'll explain voicing in a second. Back to 4, which kind of comes from that type of idea in Mario. And so what a voicing is when we have the same chord. If you don't know what a chord is, well, here's a note. 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 We play them all together. We get a chord. Now a voicing is going to be we take those same notes and we're going to change the order of them, or we're going to add more instances of different notes. So for example, here we have the notes of B flat, D, F, and A. This creates a B flat major 7 chord. B flat major 7. Now, if I change the voicing, check this out. Same notes, different order. Some of them are higher, some of them are lower versions of each other. And if you're wondering what higher and lower versions mean, well, for example, if we take an A and we think about how the A vibrates the sound through the air, the A is going to vibrate, this particular A right here, is going to vibrate the sound 440 times a second. You get 440 vibrations a second, and then that's going to create an A note when it vibrates your ear. Now, if we take the A that's higher, that's going to create 880, so it's times 2. So type a 2 in the chat. Actually, no, type an 8. Type a number 8 in the chat if you can hear the similarity between these two sounds. This sounds lower, this sounds higher, but type a 2 in the chat if you can hear the similarity between these two. And the reason you can hear that similarity is because your brain is actually running a math equation of sorts, saying, oh yeah, this one, they sound similar because they're double the frequencies, or half the frequencies of each other. They have this 2x relationship. So when we're talking about voicings, we could have an A that's 440, or we can have an A that's 880 within this chord, and it's going to sound different when you have higher and lower notes. For example, here, we're taking all of this up higher. You can still hear there's a similarity between these two things. And this. Similarity again, but it's higher. And similarity with this. There we go. Type a 4 in the chat if all of those sounded like, maybe not exactly the same, but similar. Those are going to be different voicings. So you're going to use the same notes, different order. Sometimes, you know, you'll have 2 Ds in one voicing, right? Or you could have 2 Fs in one voicing. But it's all going to use those same notes. All right, let's keep going to the next one. So let's talk about the motif of the Beanish People. A Beanish motif, if you will. A Beanish motif in the key of B major, which we've been seeing throughout this OST so far. Now I am simplifying because the first time it happens, it's something like... Something like that. I might be missing that first part up. Let's grab one. There, it starts clean. Oh no, there's more to it than that. Oh, maybe it's just that. There we go. Okay, so it has this little lead up to it the first time, but basically the motif here is 3, 4, 5, 1. And back to it. Here we go. Yeah. All right, cool stuff. Let's keep it going. Castle of Beans. Oh my goodness. Alright, this is a fun puzzle. Alright, we're gonna pull it back to the top here. Oh, it starts in D. Alright, so it's alternating between D and F. This is absolutely delightful and delicious. Let's go full screen on this iPad here. Alright, so we've got 1, 2, 5. Pretty straightforward. And then we have a pivot chord. And the pivot chord is like flat 6, but also known as the 5 of F. So it's like we're going to F here. So this is also like 5. And now we're really in F, so it's 1. Excuse me. That's like the 4 of F. I know how counting works. Don't mind me. And then we're back to this flat 6 business here. And then it's going to be flat 6 over 5, this little descending bass line. Oh no, we're still in F. We're still in F. All right, so I'm gonna call this 4. Oh, this is so cool. All right, so we have 4, 4 over what we're going to call 3, and then it goes to 2 minor, and then instead of going to 5, it goes to the 5 of 6, which is also our pivot chord, to being the 5 in the key of D. And then we're back. Oh no. Then it's continuing. It's dead. It faked me out. Then it goes back to F. Oh, it's going to do it again. Then it's doing it again in the key. Okay. I see what's happening here. All right. The pattern repeats. Now we're in the key of A flat. So that's like the 4 of A flat going to 1. Oh, this is nuts. This is so cool. All right, and then it goes. It does the same thing. 4 over 3 to 2 minor, and then where does it go? Then it's going to the 5. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so like this, like we were in A flat. Now we're back to F. Oh my gosh. This is so cool. And then it's back to 1. But how do we get back to D now? Hanging out on F. Oh, that is so cool. So what it does is just a 1 over 7, and that creates an F to E bass line that leads us back to the top of this piece of music for the D. Wow, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. All right, let's keep this going. All right, so what did we just hear there? We heard a G whole tone scale. All right, that just jumped. All right, cool, we're back. So what is a G whole tone scale? Well, we talked about half steps, and we talked about whole steps. Now, another word for whole step is a whole tone. Whole tone. So if we start, let's say, on G, here we go G to A, that's going to be a whole step. From A to B is going to be a whole step. From B to C sharp is going to be a whole step. From C sharp to D sharp is going to be a whole step. From D sharp to F is going to be a whole step. And then from F back to G is going to be a whole step. So it's using the notes that are from this group of whole steps. It's a whole tone, whole tone. Really beautiful stuff. All right, let's keep it going. This is like just a sped up version here. Oh, some more stuff. Okay, now while I just figured that if the iPad couldn't figure out what I was writing, you probably couldn't either. So this is chromatic ascending. So this chromatic ascending idea, we've heard this throughout the Mario series so far, and it's 4 notes in ascending chromatic order, and we've heard it in different places. And it's usually for some type of fight, there's some type of conflict. This represents chromatic ascending. So chromatic means we're going to be going up in half steps without taking a break between half steps. For example, we could go A to B flat to B to C. These would all be half steps. And so going up in chromatic order or descending chromatic order would still be, having a chromatic idea. But here what we're hearing is this ascending chromatic order that we've been hearing throughout the Super Mario series. Let's keep on rocking to Woohoo Hooniversity. one thing out in here. Interesting. All right, so last time through, it does flat 6 here. So all this repeats. And then it's doing this little extra bit here. Yeah, extra measure. There we go. That's what I was expecting from Yoko Shimomura, somewhere in there. Dude, I knew there was going to be an extra measure in here somewhere. I was like looking for it before. I was like, surely, Yoko Shimomura will do an extra measure somewhere, do something cool like this. All right, so there's actually an extra measure here. So typically in hypermeter, we think of there being stuff every 4 measures, right? So there's 4 measures here, 4 measures here. However, here there's actually 5. So hypermeter, we're looking for groups of 4, 8, 16, and 32. These are the groupings of music your ear has been inculcated into expecting from music. And you say, well, sir, I actually listen to progressive rock and also experimental jazz. I'm not programmed here for, okay, great, fine, 99% of people, not you, you know. Great, cool stuff, let's keep it going. Oh, we're back to a little sunshine action here. Lovely groove in the key of D flat major. And in the key of D flat major, we've got a 1 to a flat 7 is the underlying harmony, but obviously it was a really, really beautiful groove on top of that. Let's keep it going. All right, type FF7 in the chat if you can hear Final Fantasy VII, which, by the way, Final Fantasy VII, Nobuo Uematsu, just such a prolific composer with so many incredible ideas. I don't know if you were watching my live stream. I was doing a live stream the other day. I was making a main theme for a friend's creating a zombie video game, and they needed a main theme to go get funding for their game. And so I go, okay, I'll make you a main theme, like no charge. I'll just do a live stream for it and have some fun. Like, okay, I'm making this theme for my friend's game, and I start going, and I'm like, oh, I've got this great idea for what we can do next. And literally the idea I wrote was 100% verbatim Nobuo Uematsu. I'm like, oh, that's an awesome idea. I can't believe I just came up with that. And then I was like, listen to it a couple times. I was like, oh no, I didn't just come up with that. That's Nobuo Uematsu. right, it's looping now. So, Yoko Shimomura does it again with a time signature that, well, yep, again, not living in the 4/4 world of things. So stepping outside of the world of 4/4 things and into the world of 7/4, which means that if I was to count this music, which I will do in a second, it's actually grouped into sevens. Listen to this right now. I'm gonna count it for you. The intro. 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, I actually had a client ask me the other day, because I don't know if you know about this, I've got this thing called the Gamer Music Creator Guild, where gamers, we get together and we create our own music. Some people actually put their music in games. Some people release their music out on the Spotify, YouTube Music, and Apple Music. And by the way, if you want a free starter pack to get you started, I'm a gamer. I help gamers create music. There's a link in the video description. Go click on that. It's a starter pack for you to get you started creating your own music. And this client asked me, I think it was actually yesterday, he was like, all right, look, if we have a piece in 7, how do we divide it up? And I was like, it really depends on what you want to do. A lot of times, like you can hear right here, we could think about this as being a 4 plus 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Why do we have the 3, 4, 1, 2, 3? Because we are in the bass. So slowly we hear like this group of 4 notes, and this dum dum dum. And what makes that group of 3 notes is that it starts low and goes back high again. And those low sounds, those get emphasis. Really cool stuff. Let's keep it going. This is so cool. This is the underground theme. And the original key. All right, it's gonna repeat. So what we heard there is the underground theme, but in the original key of C major that we've heard throughout at least the mainline Mario original soundtrack. So check out this next one. Absolutely gorgeous. What we can hear is, well, here in the key of, we're going to call it D flat major. The key of D flat major is we've got this D flat pedal tone. It's just a D flat hanging out the bottom, and everything else is happening on top of one note. There aren't a whole bunch of changes of notes in the bottom. If you listen carefully and you go back to this piece of music, you'll hear there's one note hanging out in the bottom the whole time. Let's check out this next one. gorgeous. Let's keep rocking to the next one. Absolutely gorgeous. So cool. So bossy, too. Let's check out this next one. Yeah, that's that Simpsons theme again. In the beginning. Wow, so we heard Crackletta's theme in there. I don't quite recall who Fawful is. However, one cool thing to think about here is type a 2 in the chat if you agree that this theme sounds threatening but also a little silly. It's a little silly but also threatening at the same time. Again, type a 4 in the chat if you think that this theme sounds a little threatening but also a little silly. Or 2 or 4, whatever I said. Type whatever I said in the chat. So, look, what makes it silly? What makes it silly is the sharp 4 we talked about earlier that's taken from that Liddy mode. What makes it sound threatening is that flat 6 a little bit later. And so it's that combination of the playfulness but also the threateningness that creates this piece of music. Also, we heard Crackletta's that sort of classical thing we talked about before where we broke down, you remember, the melody of the A, B, A, C motif frame. We heard that right there at the end. All right, let's keep it going. All right, let's pull this one back for a second. It's something like, I'm actually gonna slow this down. Way slow, just to grab this first thing. There it is. All right, so we have this idea here. And let's actually put this all the way back up to maximum speed here. Well, not maximum, but regular speed. So that right there, we have 2 half steps in a row. Also, 2 half steps that are related by a perfect fourth. And we've seen throughout the Mario series that the perfect fourth shows us that we're in some type of combat. Now what we have here is we have a G flat to an F followed by a D flat, excuse me, I know how letters work, D flat to C. And these are both separated by a half step, which gets us this super bad guy-esque bass line here that is absolutely rocking, also with the speed of it and the sound of it. Super cool. Let's keep going. Oh my goodness. All right, Yoshi Star just gave me permission. I'm gonna do it. Yoshi Star said we need to play along here. Well, you got a baseline play along. Let's check out the next one. We won! Beautiful. Yeah, this is Super Mario World. Gorts, I love a good mashup. Let's check out one more for today. Oh. Interesting, okay. Okay, so in It's My Turn, we hear a reference both to the OG version of the Starman theme, and then coming in with a newer, more modernized, like, let's say, from 64 Super Mario Land 2 type vibes going on. So what we hear to start off with is that the lowest note in the bass line, and by the way, the bass line is what gives it away, because the original bass line is... And what we hear is the way that Yoko's doing it here, it starts off with the F, and then it goes straight to the C. And the F really is a D minor in first inversion. Back to the C, and then when the beat drops, it does the more modern version. Yeah, from 64. Beautiful, fantastic, phenomenal. All right, hey. If you're a gamer, you want to create your own music, click right here to get the free starter pack. To see the next video in the Super Mario series, click up here. And to see all the videos in this Super Mario series, click over here. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, friends, and goodbye.